So this is probably just past 5:30 in the morning. It's raining. Raining is a good thing here because the old variety, the local variety called the bencha will start budding when it starts to rain. But of course, all the farmers will have to waste a day because you can't really pick the tea when it's raining. So this is on my way. By the way, my boat is leaving at 6. So this is on my way to the boat, and this is a facility lower part in the village that people are selling tea. The rain is getting heavier and heavier. I'm without umbrella. Everyone seems confused which one's the boat that leaves, because most people told me they actually never took a boat to leave here before. Some did, but they were saying like all these boats they take random turns to leave, but they all seem to know when they leave. This one they said is most likely the one that would leave. See all the chairs in here. There's no one here yet, so I don't know. Actually, I was wrong. This is not the boat to go. The boat to go is over there. This is where people are actually trading the tea. This is a tea trading facility, just the same as what we saw earlier with the house. This lady just walked out with a little batch of bencha that she wasn't able to sell. So she's going back. There's still more facility like the one we passed by that collects teas. So the confusion is finally cleared. This is the boat I will be leaving with. Luckily, 2 other people are also leaving. He thought I'd take a picture of him. See some of now all the mountains before it reached Shunan, but to the east side of the lake is considered a mountain, even though the Qi mountain that came is the most renowned, is considered the best. But there's all the inner mountains preferred over, for example, once we cross the river, the big township, Flower Height, that is considered the beginning of the outer mountains. Now, of course, last year I was traveling on this water all by myself. It was so cool. I still remember it was one of the best moments in my life. I was just sitting on the deck and the whole lake was empty. We were the only boat, and I felt like I was the only one. By the way, those teas that's right by the water is usually not preferred. So similar island tea, for example, like Hopeway, they also have certain teas that's right by the water, and that's not preferred, even though these are islands. But remember how in the Qi mountain, how we saw how tall the mountains are. We actually rode in the mountains on motorcycle for over 40 minutes. So these are like little hills. It's not as preferred as the high mountains. There's still high mountains even on islands. Same thing with Monkey King, the mountains or the islands that we get our teas from. The renowned ones, for example, like the Monkey Dip or like the Lucy Dip, where we all got our Monkey King from. They're all very high mountain islands. And let's take a look inside the boat. It's pretty cool because it's just a village. I think everyone knows everybody. There's a little kid. It's a really cool village. I was told. So we're now at the Panxi. This is the higher up from Diantou. And you can really see the bamboo shooting up everywhere. And people are picking tea. See, it's probably familiar looking now. The leaf or the bud are bigger. 是啊。 So there's a really pretty lake down there, and then there are people picking the tea. There we go. 采茶呢。It's very wet and slippery everywhere, so I have to be careful. 我呀，我不是干什么的，我跑过来跟他们喝茶的。我看看你采的，我看看你采的。
哦，
采很大哈。
哎。
So now it's a later plug. You can see the leaves mostly have opened up already. 您打开那个手上采的，我看一下。
你照相啊？
啊，对对，你打开我看一下。你采一个，然后放在手里我看一下。你就打开，把手这样打开，我看。Oh. See, it's much bigger now. It's basically kind of like this. So you can see the bud become skinnier. 您接着采，不用管我。And then with 3 leaves. So this is basically 贡梅。这采贡梅吧？您接着采。You know that this is the very popular new variety called Fuyi number 6, the new variety. It doesn't taste as good, it's very light. It looks much prettier though. And over here where you're plugging, this is the big white, which is disputedly probably the original variety of Fuyi, but some say it's the other, like a little white, that's the real variety, so we don't know. But this is a much older variety, and you can see, just as we saw with a lot of other ones, because this one has much more history, it's darker, the older leaves, right? And then over here, it's much lighter. So you can see these are big leaf variety, trying to find because these are younger tea trees, trying to find a fully grown leaf like this one. See how big the leaf is. Here's my hand. You can see in comparison. And now here we spot a couple bushes of the smaller leaves. So 花茶1 and 2. You can see the leaf. It's just in comparison to size. If you want a reference. So these are some of the wild tea trees. You can see it's actually a whole bunch of them, because we call them wild tea trees, but really they're just unmaintained tea trees. Versus over here are maintained tea trees, so cultivated variety, but you can see it just kind of grows wildly. But because the planting, the density is too high, see the trunk doesn't even grow to the proper size, but yet from the growth, the height, and then the size of the leaf, you know that it's still a big leaf variety. So here we're actually lost in the woods while looking for a tea garden I saw not last year, several years ago actually. I want to see how those tea trees have grown already. But surprise, surprise, here we actually found a really old wild tea tree. You can tell from the trunk. And there's always this dispute whether it's what they call the little white or the big white. Maybe the confusion resides with the name versus the actual variety. I'm pretty certain by looking at the leaves, it's not really a small leaf variety, but it's not really a big leaf variety either. And then the locals are saying this is definitely a xiaobai. So, but for it to grow, you can see, I mean, I know it's not a really, you can compare it with my waist, it's about the same size, even though this is definitely not the same size of trunk that we see with poorer trees, but in this area, this is already the biggest, largest that we've seen, so it's actually quite a mighty finding. And then also, right here we see a big rock, so we got lost. We thought there was a road, but the road ends with the rock. Locals actually set up some kind of worshipping shrine here. This is a Buddhism area, but I don't think they're really worshipping Buddha in this cave, so it's also kind of like a interesting mystery. So we're gonna pick some and then take it home to see how it tastes. So this is Mr. May. His grandfather started this household, and his family is the most well-known tea maker here.
堆了，那个太强也不行，也会香蕉的。
怎么盖住呢？拿什么盖住呢？拿什么把它盖住啊？你刚才说。
我希望那个煮烧也搞嘛。
So he was explaining that usually they, so it has to be very dim fire to bake white tea. So traditionally there is I don't know if any of you recall that I spoke of this in the tea house. The traditional white tea does get baked dry. Many people, actually I would say majority of the white tea now don't do that anymore. It's almost a technique that's standardly lost. Now, when they bake the tea, the fire has to be very dim because they bake the tea for over an hour and they can't turn the tea because if any of the dust goes into the ashes, it'll actually burn and then smoke the tea. But you don't want smoke, so they have to be very careful baking the tea and make it very dim. Sometimes if they see the fire is a little too high, the time is pressing, they'll have to cover the fire a little bit to the charcoal ash a little bit, and then they'll bake the tea on 2 different levels, and then they just shift the level without actually turning the tea.
我们差不多时间到了，我们要拿上来，拿上来这里有一个暖力，暖气外头或者再倒过来。
哦，倒过来，在下面倒了，然后再
往这里来。又把它摊平。这个烘焙叫翻法。
所以不是2层呀。So that's where the confusion was. There's no 2 layers. 就只是先摊1层，然后把它倒出来翻一下，然后再放回去。
它所以它的甘露才会统一，不然甘露不会统一。
所以一共加在一起备1个小时，还是每一次都备1个小时？就是复备1个小时，第一次备1个小时，加在一起备1个小时。加在一起备1个。So together they had to bake the tea for like an hour, and what they do is so they can't flip the tea while the bamboo tray is actually on top of the charcoal. So they will actually take this off and then flip the tea and then put it back onto the charcoal, so the tea gets baked on both sides. It usually takes an hour, but it's just basically until the tea is dry. 可这个就是先晒，晒完了拿回来堆，堆完了再拿出去晒，晒完了再烤。
不是，
那起先是凉青，我们放在那个饼啊，茶巾拿来放在那个
饼上晾，对，
给它就凉青，凉好了拿到沸里晒，晒了以后干了以后大概8、9天干了，我们堆直，对，叫这个清发酵，清发酵好了，然后拿到这里来备。
就堆完了就
堆完了不是不拉这菜就直接在这里
备了。那现在就是说，如果不备的话，就是堆完了就再拿出去晒。对。So the technique for white tea is largely involved just basically sun drying the tea. So what happens is, of course, they put it on the big flat bamboo tray, and then they put it outside to sun dry it, and then they'll take it inside while the tea still absorb all the heat from the sun. They'll just pile it up a little bit. It's not the same kind of piling up like black tea, which is a big pile. It's just kind of like a little grooves of piles, and then. And if it's baking the tea, they just basically take it inside and then bake it. But if it's gonna get sun-dried straight, actually a lot of people now prefer just the sun-dried one. But if it's the sun-dried tea, what happens is basically they just take it out. Instead of baking the tea, they take it out and sun-dry it again and dry it until it's dry, basically. Now, what happened here is we're basically doing a rescue mission because. So, like I was explaining before, white tea is really simple. It's almost like boring to explain the process because you just have to lay it out under the sun and let it dry basically. But the tricky part is you can't control the sun, but yeah, you have to control the temperature. See, what I'm saying the rescue mission is see how the tea has gone red, and this is when the temperature is too high, the sun is too strong. So even though it's good sun, but you can't have the sun too hot. Preferred is above 18 degrees Celsius, but below 25 degrees Celsius. So if it's reached, we can't feel that temperature now because remember this is the true origins. So when the tea is in peak season, it's actually still kind of cold. See our attire, I'm actually wearing a jacket, but we're talking about the sun, I guess the sun, the temperature that reached the tea. So if it's 20, so now it's about 28 degrees Celsius, and it's too strong for the tea. So oftentimes what they had to do is they had to collect the tea once it's around noontime, and then put it away. So here I want to demo to you the different varieties or locations of white tea. I know they all almost look the same. We have some silver needles and white peonies both here. So let's see. So this one is the original white tea in the Fuding area called Dabai. Now this is also a Dabai, but it comes from the Fu'an or Zhenghe area. So you can see it's a little greener. This is actually silver needle, not white peony, but it looks much greener. And then these two are both white peonies. And this one, the little darker one, so you can see this is also a local Dabai variety of white peony versus this one. So you can see even though this is a white peony which has leaves, but if you look at the color hue of the white part, the hair is very similar. Now, let me see if the light is good. I think you can still tell that this one is whiter than this one. Now this is a new variety, or you can call it lab variety, but this one actually has some history. It's an old lab variety. It's called Fui number 6, and this one actually used to be used to make a lot of the red tea in this area. Whenever you see a red tea, that the color of the bud is extra golden, it's due to this very white hair. Of course, the most desired is the original Dabai variety, but this is also there. You can also see a lot of this in this area. Now, this kind of very rough looking. I don't know if you can tell when you touch it. It's a little hard. This is a Yunnan red tea. This is the moonlight white, which is, I would say, the least desired white tea. So I don't remember how many of you recall. I was telling you that 比较关键，对，下了雨之后就不一样了。Remember I was saying that so out of the 6 variety of teas, basically 3 adopts the same kind of making method. So green tea, yellow tea, and white tea were brewed using glasses. But white tea in the recent years switched to the Gaiwan system. This also shows just the big leaf variety, how flexible it is. Remember, for purer tea, you can boil, you can brew with a Gaiwan, brew with a kettle, with a teapot. It doesn't really matter that much. So for big leaf variety, it's just basically really robust, and you can do it many ways. But for silver needle, some people, when they test the tea, they rather do it 2 systems. Especially for earlier plucked silver needle, sometimes the tea will flow up and down and all stand up. So this one, you can see, is already a little flat, but it'll stand eventually. But for the very, very early pluck, it'll stand sooner. But for example, like a white peony or gongmei or shoumei, it wouldn't stand. So it wouldn't matter if you use a gaiwan or a glass. But just let you know that there are 2 different systems.